I'm Jessie Owen, and this is Powering Through, a podcast about what happens when your life gets flipped upside down, figuratively, and also sometimes literally. This podcast is supported by Onward Medical. If you're new here, I'm a quadriplegic mom who overshares on the internet for a living, and on this show, we have honest conversations about life after spinal cord injury. The identity shifts, the grief, the humor, the relationships, logistics, and really all of the weird things nobody prepares you for. And today I'm sitting down with Rebecca Koltun, social media creator, artist, and advocate. Rebecca was injured in a skiing accident 5 years ago, and now shares her life online with this incredible mix of dark humor, honesty, and vulnerability that people deeply connect with. Honestly, she is one of the funniest people on the internet. In this episode, we talk about everything from caregivers and losing privacy to traveling with a high-level spinal cord injury, internet trolls being stared at in public, painting with their mouth, and how she's built a really full and fulfilling life without pretending that it's easy. What I love about Rebecca is that she doesn't package disability into inspirational fluff. She tells the truth. She's funny, sharp, self-aware, and so deeply human. And I think a lot of people, disabled or not, are going to find themselves somewhere in this conversation. If you enjoy this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe to Powering Through wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also leave a rating or review, which helps listeners find the show. And if this conversation resonates with you, share it with a friend. That's one of the biggest ways that you can help us grow as a community and get these stories in front of more people who need them. Okay, full charge. Let's roll. Rebecca, welcome to the Powering Through podcast. I am so thrilled to have you here, and I'd love to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, so I'm Rebecca. I'm 26. I live on Long Island in New York, and I was injured a little over 5 years ago in a ski accident. It left me paralyzed from the neck down, and now I like to share my story, my life, my dark humor on the internet with social media, and it's just been a really therapeutic outlet for me, and I love doing it.
I have followed you for well over a year now, maybe 2 years, and your story is this incredible rare mix of being emotional and educational, and honestly, you're just really funny. And I think a lot of people started following you because you're young and stunning, but they stay because you are so real. And I think in the world of disability content, there's often this pressure to be inspirational in this very obnoxiously cheesy way. And you just absolutely break that mold, and people gravitate towards you because you don't lead with tragedy. You lead with your personality, which is ginormous. And you show that while your life has changed in an instant, like your essence clearly didn't, your story is so powerful, and I know that there's so much more to you than the wheelchair and your medical chart, which we will, get into, but I also wanted to dive into everything else about you and how you manage to live this big life. I think that's why people follow you. You're navigating this world in a very educational and real way, and you're also just a young person living life, and that is a connection that people really value.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for everything you just said. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy to be here on this podcast with you.
One thing that I think almost everybody can relate to, not just disability-wise, is that when you're going through something big in your life, for us, it's a very public and big acquired disability. But for other people, this could be dealing with infertility or navigating sobriety or raising a child with special needs or a sudden job loss or going through a breakup, whatever it is, that's something big. People often feel incredibly comfortable offering their opinions on how you should handle it. And whether they're a friend or just a total stranger, there's always this category of advice that is wildly unhelpful. And I thought it would be fun to start off by asking you some of the most unhelpful or unsolicited advice that you have ever received.
I've definitely gotten a fair share of unsolicited advice, and sometimes in the hospital, people would say like belief is everything, and if you just believe, you can heal yourself, with meditation and affirmations and things like that. So that was something I've heard, even from a nurse. A nurse told me that once, actually.
Meditation is going to heal your spinal cord injury?
Yeah, and like affirmations and just
Mm.
belief that I can, things like that, for sure. I'm not a very religious person. A lot of people tell me just to pray. That could heal me. Someone recommended a doctor that will unravel with you why you were injured. And she said it might be very painful to hear, but could go back generations. It could have to do with your ancestors. And that she gave me the number, and she's like, I'll tell him you're going to give him a call. I'm like, I'm not going to give him a call, but thanks. So those are just to name a few.
It's so wild. I think it comes from a good place, right? But just so little understanding and crossing over a line that's not really theirs. I actually suspect a universal experience that I wish more people would like check into before opening their mouth.
And yeah, right. It's crazy.
You do a lot of social media content. I'm not sure if that's how you would describe yourself, but you have put your life out fairly publicly. And for someone who maybe doesn't know you or your content, how would you explain what you're doing and why you're sharing it?
So I do share a lot of dark humor, funny posts, making fun of my paralysis, quadriplegia, living life with a disability. But then there's like an educational side of like, this is what it's like living with disability. And also here's how to interact with people who have a disability, or here's something that you might not be realizing that you're doing that could be offensive, or something you're saying, or whatever it is. So like there's two sides, and I really like making people laugh because I've always just enjoyed that. I've always been a funny person. I think I won class clown in middle school. And I also just feel like I can't always join like the crazy spontaneous activities that my friends do and go on trips and go to clubs and go stay out late in New York City or whatever it is. But if I can make them laugh, that's something. And then I just like educating people because I think there's so many things that's not known, things that I would certainly never know had I not been this injury. I don't think I would know how to interact with someone properly, or that I was in a power chair. I don't know. So I think it's important to educate people what it's like, because I think it's really not commonly known.
So, what do people think they know about you from your content that like isn't true?
Maybe they think that like my biggest woe or my biggest challenge is like not being able to walk or not being able to um, move my arms, which, yes, that is a huge part of it. But like a lot of the things that my parents and I deal with that like is the biggest challenge is mostly like caregiving and finding good caregivers. And, there's people in our house 24/7. So it's about being like comfortable with those people and trusting that they're going to show up, and they're going to show up on time. And like, we're very grateful for people that we have that have been so wonderful to us, but it sometimes can be hard to find people like that. Like, I don't think about the desire to walk most of the days. Like, that's not really what I'm sitting here like worried about. I'm more so worried about like, who am I spending the whole day with?
I mean, spill the tea. What do you mean finding caregivers and finding people to hang out with? Say more.
Well, there's people that, I spend all day with them or all night with a nurse or an aide, and sometimes people are friendly and fun, and I look forward to them coming. And sometimes people are not so nice and they don't talk, or they don't respect the stuff in our house, and it's unfortunate, but we really need them. So it's like, it's kind of a balance of like, let's say they're good at being a nurse, but not fun to hang out with, or not very nice. But do you want to go through the whole process of finding someone else and training them when they're doing what they're supposed to do? And there is a shortage. It's a very tricky situation to navigate.
That is complicated. Do you live like in a city, or are you like more out in the country? Do people have to drive far to come to work as a caregiver?
I live in the suburbs, about an hour from New York City. But I'm about 40 minutes from Queens. A lot of my nurses are from Queens. So that's definitely helpful to be close to like a metropolis like that.
Have you fired any? Do you do the firing, or do your parents do the firing?
Well, we operate through a nursing agency, so
Mm.
usually we would speak to the coordinator who will tell them like it wasn't a good fit. But there are people we've had privately that we just haven't asked them to come back or told them, hey, it's not a good fit.
Yeah, it's difficult having people in your house all the time and not really having privacy or just a minute
Yeah.
alone, or, someone's always in your space.
Yeah. And like, I need them. So what am I going to do about it?
I don't know. What do you do about it?
Well, hold on one second. My nurse is just coming to check on me.
Good
I'm
timing.
good, T. Thank you. Thanks. I just asked her to check on me every like 15 minutes because she wouldn't be able to hear me if I like hollered for her. But anyway, well, what do we do about it? I mean, you meet people and interview them, but you don't really learn a lot. You really just learn when they come and you work with them day after day or night after night and see if it's a good match and see if it's going to work out. And sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And it's hard for sure because you can go through the whole process of training someone, and especially if you're paying them out of pocket and then they come and it was all for nothing.
That's a big mental load.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know,
something like, for example, a paraplegic who is independent doesn't have to worry about. So people might think, oh, you guys are upset about the same things. Probably not. Like that person probably has totally different worries than I do because they might not have full-time caretaking like I do.
well, from my perspective, or what you share, you've built this incredible life and this really big platform. But there was obviously a specific before and after for you, and I'd love, if you're up for it, to go back to that before section for a second. Can you take us back to the day of the accident and tell us a little bit, about what happened, what went through your head? When did you know? When did you?
Sure. So I was a senior at Binghamton University. It's a school in upstate New York. And I was studying Spanish and chemistry. I was interviewing for medical schools. I had like 3 interviews already at the time that I completed. I had 2 more to go. And I went on a ski trip with my friends on a Saturday. And I don't remember anything of the day itself, but I was told that I kind of went off on my own early in the day. I was supposed to meet up with my brother too at the mountain. I didn't end up meeting up with him, but I went off on my own. I had a fall. One person saw me fall off like the side of the mountain, and he got to me. He was an EMT. He took my pulse. Didn't have a pulse. Called ski patrol. Ski patrol came. They had to like resuscitate me multiple times. I was airlifted to Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital in New Hampshire. I was skiing in Vermont at the time, and I was in the hospital for 17 days, probably unconscious for the first like 3. I don't even know when like it clicked that I was paralyzed. I just remember waking up and just knowing. I remember asking my brother like what happened, and he like told me that he had already told me, but I don't remember. I was on a lot of medication, probably had a concussion, and I didn't even remember like even planning the trip that much. It was weird. And I was told I knew, I guess I was paralyzed from the neck down. I was on a ventilator, and that was the same injury as Christopher Reeve had suffered.
And you knew Christopher Reeve, huh?
I think I'd heard of him. My parents knew, and they were told that that was the same injury that he had had.
Do you think you don't remember things from that day because of the coma? 17 days?
No, I was in the hospital 17 days.
17.
I
Okay.
probably woke up after like 2 or 3 days. It was probably I think it was medically induced because they had to put the trach in, and they need like I had that a surgery to fuse my spinal cord, to fuse my C1 and C2 vertebrae. I think I don't remember anything because I had no pulse and the trauma of being resuscitated and then losing my heartbeat. And I also think I had a concussion.
So, not to get like too medical, but like, did your heart probably stop, which is crazy that you're here today. I'm so glad you are. Um, because of the high cervical injury and that the signals from your brain to your body couldn't travel through the spinal cord to get to your heart?
Yeah, because my injury was C1, C2, that controls the diaphragm. So my diaphragm stopped. I stopped breathing, and my heart stopped, which is why I was on a ventilator. It's why I have a trach now. I do have a diaphragmatic pacer, so it's a pacer on my diaphragm. It's like electrodes that contract my diaphragm so I could breathe without the ventilator. So I use the ventilator part-time. I sleep with it, but I don't need it full-time, which is nice to have that option to not be on it full-time.
That's really cool. Does it not work at night?
It does. I just get tired, and also like the breaths aren't necessarily big enough for me to feel comfortable to be sleeping, especially on my side. It's harder to breathe.
Yeah, I do remember when I was newly injured. I have an incomplete injury, but I wasn't moving anything in the hospital, and I was very nervous and very scared about getting stuck in a position and not being able to breathe or yell or move. When you look back at that day and in the injury, which was 5 years ago,
Yeah,
6.
it was March 13th, 2021.
Oh, you just recently had your accident anniversary.
Yeah.
Um, so what what is the thing that stands out most about the version of that Rebecca and then the reality that you were suddenly facing? How did that version of you show up in this new version of you?
I guess I've always been an optimistic person, a glass half full person. So I just always had the mindset of it. Everything works out in the end. If it's not working out, it's not the end. So that's definitely carried me through these past 5 years.
I love that, but that can't be true for everything. You had to have been sad. Were you sad? Everyone's sad.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You could have easily handled this transformation in private with your family and your friends, but instead you opened the door and you invited the internet in. Um, and was there a specific moment when you thought, yeah, let's put a camera in front of this, intentionally, or did you just decided to share because you had things that needed to be said?
I was in the hospital at the time. I'd been in 2 rehabs. This was the second one towards the end of my stay. I was in the hospital a total of 9 months, and I think we made a video on how I paint. So I had like a mouth stick and a paintbrush, and we put it in my mouth, and someone holds the canvas in front of me. I think I just wanted to show people how I painted because I could have something that I say I painted, and people are probably like, well, how? You can't move your limbs. So I just made that, posted it. People seemed pretty interested, and I got a lot of like decent amount of followers just from that video. And then made a video on how I operate my chair and how I use the computer. And then I came home and kept making them, and then I made like a dark humor one that was like my first viral video, and it did super well. And then I was like, oh, I like this.
What do you think it says about people that they liked the painting, but clearly they loved the dark humor?
Yeah, I think that they love that type of humor because a lot of people won't laugh about situations that are very depressing, and in some way that's like a car accident you can't look away from. Like you see it and you want to know what happened, and sometimes the short form videos like that are would draw people to my page, and they're like, well, what happened? And those are the ones that do really well usually.
I've heard you say, and you said it earlier today when we were chatting, that you try to get out every single day if you can. And the thing is when you're out and about, you can see everyone. And you can see everyone seeing you. It's sometimes like this fishbowl effect. And I think a lot of folks with disabilities or who look different or feel different actually really struggle with that, being perceived. But to me, when you say that, it feels like you're intentionally reclaiming your space in the world. and like refusing to hide from that gaze? Or is it maybe not that serious? You just like the outside of the park? What? Talk to me about how you actually navigate all of that.
Yeah, I think I've always been a person that likes to be really busy and always doing things and going places. So I feel very trapped if I stay home all day, and I feel best when I've a lot to do and places to go. So I think it's just unintentional that I'm like reclaiming my space and showing that I don't care what the world thinks, and I'll go wherever I'll get fed in a restaurant if I'm not afraid to show who I am to the world. Like I know someone who has a similar injury to me, and he doesn't like to go out to eat because he doesn't want to be fed in a restaurant. Like, well, I want to go to the restaurant, and if I want to eat, I have to be fed. So that's it is what it is. Like that, the same thing with, I hate getting my teeth brushed by another person, but I need my teeth brushed. So what am I going to do? I have to let them brush my teeth. Like it's just the means to an end, and it might suck, it might not, but yeah, I just love to be getting out, doing things.
And like, was it like that from the beginning, or did you have to like ease into it? Because I know people are looking at you.
It was always like that. I always wanted to leave. In the hospital, I just kept saying, I want to go to like a grocery store. I was in the hospital and the pandemic was still very prevalent, and I wasn't allowed to leave. Normally they take
Ooh.
people on like little trips. They can get acclimated to like navigating the world, in a wheelchair, but I couldn't. So I was like, just want to go to like Trader Joe's or something. And the first place we went was a grocery store when I got out of the hospital. And people look, and most of the time it doesn't bother me. Some days, maybe it does a little bit. Kids always look. Sometimes I stare back or make a face or whatever. So I'm like, whatever. I mean, they're going to look. Maybe I would have looked too, had I not been in my situation. I don't know.
Would you have any advice or mantras to other people that might be struggling with getting out of the house because they don't like people?
Yeah, I would say like the only thoughts and opinions that should matter are like your friends and your family and the people you really care about. So who cares what random strangers think?
What about if they feel like they're a burden to caregivers and people opening doors and, I don't know, restaurants that have to move tables?
Yeah, I certainly feel that way sometimes, but I also think like let's say a restaurant has to accommodate me, move tables or do something like I'm there, what, 2 hours? I'm there 2 hours of their entire, existence or that week or whoever, whatever. And this is my whole life. I deal with this 24/7. You deal with this 2 hours and then it's over. So that's something that's really helped me because I used to feel like even bad for like the noises that my ventilator makes. Like it makes like this puffing of air noise and it's loud. And like if I'm in the movie and sometimes it might beep, I'm like, well, it's like a moment of your life and it's my entire life. Like you can handle it.
You're Gen Z, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is this just Gen Z energy? Because I love this.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it is.
I I don't know. Just like I get to exist, calm down. I'm gonna live my life.
Yeah. And most people are very understanding. Like the restaurant is happy to accommodate me. I, I'd like to think in a way like it makes them, like if they could accommodate me, that should make them feel good too, that like they're allowing me to have this experience and eat there, and they could let all types of people eat there. So,
What do you like to go do? Like, I don't know, what are your faves?
so if it's nice out, I'd like to go to the Jones Beach boardwalk. It's like a very long boardwalk on the beach, and I just listen to an audiobook, and like the most relaxing thing for me. I enjoy going to coffee shops, out to lunch with friends, to the movies. I'm going to the movies tonight. And I also like to go to like a park or even just ride around my neighborhood. Like that makes me happy also.
What about when it snows? It snows a decent amount where you live,
Yeah.
right?
Ugh, that's the worst. If I'm stuck in the house all day, that sucks. I'll paint with my mouth. Like I said, I paint. I'll do that for a couple hours. I'll read a lot. I have, work to do on the computer or I do a crossword puzzle, but I'll call people on the phone. I'll find a way to occupy myself if I have to be home all day, but hopefully I won't. And then like special occasions, I'll go to concerts. and Broadway shows.
Are you an extrovert?
Yeah, very much so. I get very energized being with people and talking to people, and if the whole day is silence and not talking to anyone, it drains. I like being around people.
Take me back to your painting a little bit. I'm sure it's been asked, but did you paint beforehand, or did they just, have you do it as a rehab activity and you're like, "Oh, I'm actually kinda good at this."
Yeah, it just started as rehab to strengthen my neck and get some range of motion. And then I started to get better, and I enjoyed having like an activity I could do without using my phone or my iPad. Like I liked having not to stare at a screen when I do it. And yeah, I got better, and I started to post it and sell it, and I enjoy doing it.
Did you take any classes? Because the layers of your painting are so beautiful, and, painting is hard no matter how you do it, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
curious how you learned all that.
That just took a lot of practice. I did work with art therapists in the hospital who like helped or maybe gave me some ideas. And then when I came home, I have an art teacher that comes like once a week or once every 2 weeks, and we paint together. And I wouldn't say as much as a teacher, is more just like maybe a mentor.
Girl, impressive.
Thank you.
With that said, it kind of jogged my memory about something that I really struggle with too, but I'm curious how you handle it. Pre-accident when we had all of our function, if I needed to remember something or do something, could, like, write it down on a piece of paper or, like, physically do something, and I would imagine that the mental load that you carry is really heavy because you have to do so much in your mind. How do you manage all that?
I set a lot of reminders and make a lot of lists on my phone. I use Alexa for so many things. So like I set reminders constantly. We have several throughout the house.
I was just thinking because some people, like, process by writing things down, and even though, we have voice to text, it's not the same as, like, writing something
Yeah, I
down.
agree. I wish I kept a journal while I was in the hospital and like, the early years, but at the same time, most of it, I would have to probably type it by saying it. And like, I don't
Mhm.
have a ton of privacy, and like,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I don't
Everyone's gonna
really
hear
want
your
to say it out
diary.
loud. Yeah, like I don't want to say it out loud. I have the device I use that's like a mouse, but it's a pair of glasses, and like it could sense my head movement. So I do use the computer with that, and I could type it like that, but it would take so much longer.
That sounds exhausting.
Mm.
So, do you have any you don't get to keep any secrets, or the secrets you keep are in your head?
I have freedom in my head. That's better.
That's right. I
Freedom
like
and
that.
privacy in my head. Yeah.
You know, do you ever feel pressure to be inspiring?
Yeah, I guess maybe a little bit. Like sometimes I worry with my social media, like, am I posting too many dark things in a row or whatever? But then I'm like, well, whatever. I'm just gonna post how I feel, and that's people have to deal with it. But maybe I just feel a little bit of pressure to like do well or be happy, just so like because I know my happiness brings my parents and my family happiness. So like I don't want them to see me upset or whatever. But it's really just like for them, I guess.
So you still feel pressure to kinda manage other people's feelings about your disability sometimes?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like you are living a big life and, doing as much as you can to just see every piece of the world that you can. I do think you said that you like to go to Florida.
Yeah, we go once a year.
What do you have to do to make sure that, like, you're comfy?
Oh, it's like my friend called it a military operation. There's so much involved planning this trip because I have so many needs. Like I have so many supplies, so much equipment, medical equipment, and then I need full-time caretaking. But also, someone can't work 3 weeks straight. So we need like backup people. So we found someone in Florida, and then, how are we going to get me around? What about my van? what about my power chair? The airlines are known to break chairs. We don't trust the airline with my chair. So we put it in my van. Then this year, my dad took the auto train. So we took the train from the DC area to Florida, and you could load your car onto the train. So that's how we got my van and my chair there. We loaded the van up with lots of supplies and equipment that I wouldn't need like those days before the trip. And it's a whole process, but we really laid up a blueprint for it now. So it's not as exhausting to plan.
That's really clever to send the car down with your wheelchair and stuff. So do you have a backup chair for when you go like get on the airplane?
Yeah, I have a manual chair that will just take me in, and they'll just put that under the plane. And that's something that's not like easily broken. And if God forbid, my chair did break in Florida, I have that as a means to get around. I don't want to sit in bed all day.
With that said, did it annoy you to have to use your, manual chair for a little bit because you can't drive it and you can drive your power chair?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like being in it, and I wish that there was a way for me to just stay in my chair on the airplane, because what if I do want to go somewhere that's farther, like that we can't just ship the van with my chair in without spending a bazillion dollars. So I'm hoping one day that is the case, but for now, this is how we do it.
You know, you seem really good at finding innovative and creative solutions to problems.
Yeah, and my
Uh,
parents, they're good at it too. Like we work together to think of ways to do things, try to do as much as I can.
yeah. Are you type A or type B? So does the planning bother you?
I think I'm more type B. Like I was type A with my grades, but like I'm more so type B. Like I just am the type of person just like send something without reading it over. Um, I'm not like super organized. I don't keep track of any of the money I make for my artwork or expenses or anything like that.
You're just living. You're just living. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, okay. Let me jump into something really important that you are involved with, which is your annual 5K at Rally for Rebecca, right?
Yeah. Walk, run, roll.
Oh, I
So
love that.
people of all abilities come.
So for listeners, and those who don't know, a spinal cord injury comes with a price tag, a big one, and insurance doesn't cover a significant amount of it. And often this is 24 hours of care, specialized equipment, and the therapies that actually make living this big life possible. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the Rally for Rebecca and what it's like to see a whole community of people show up.
Yeah, it's amazing. My family friends are the ones who organize it, and they brought this idea to us when I was in the hospital, and we didn't really know what it would become, but over the years, it's gotten bigger and bigger. It's at a middle school in my town, always the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And we've had the past 2 years like 700 signups. It's
Wow.
massive, and people from all walks of life come. People I went to high school with, people I went to college with, teachers, people I played sports with, a lot of strangers I don't know, people that are just runners in the community. Like, it's huge. So it's really fun. We have tables set up and free bagels, and you get a shirt every year. It's a different color. It says Rally for Rebecca 5K. And I sell my artwork, and we have sponsors. It's really fun, and it's always like the biggest day of the year. It's the start of the summer for us. And there's so much planning that goes into it. We're just so grateful that my family friends take this on and that we have such a supportive community.
I love that. You've got good friends. I feel like that speaks really loudly about your character.
Thank you.
For people who don't see all the behind the scenes stuff, what does this fundraiser actually provide for your life?
It pays for nursing care that may not be covered by insurance. It pays for massage therapies. It pays for art therapy. It pays for a driver to drive me to places like, because obviously I can't drive, and a lot of the times my nurses aren't allowed to drive because of the agency rules. So,
Really?
yeah, which makes my life infinitely more difficult. It's super frustrating. So if I want to go somewhere, I have to book a driver or ask a family friend or ask a parent or in last resort, take the able ride. But anyway, pays for that. Adaptive equipment, very expensive assistive technology, and van repairs. We had to buy an inaccessible van. The elevator breaks, which it has repairs for that. So much.
You know, as we were talking, I'm thinking, and I'm realizing that I think people are genuinely afraid of paralysis, and sometimes they're not quiet about it. People say it out loud, like, "I don't know how you do it. If that were me, I just couldn't go on." Have you heard those?
Yeah, I get a lot of comments like that.
Yeah, and it's such a loaded thing to say because they're essentially telling you that your life is their biggest nightmare, and it's offensive. And we see it in Hollywood all the time. Have you seen or read the book, Me Before You?
Yeah.
Yeah, which, spoiler alert, for a decade-old movie, it ends with a guy choosing to die because he's a quadriplegic. And the messed up part is that that's treated as deeply romantic and maybe even dignified, and we hate that. Um, but I look at you and I hear you talk, and I see someone who is very much in charge. You are a director. You are in charge. And talk to me about how you've like just reclaimed your sense of control.
Yeah, I try, like I said, to do as much as I can, and finding things that make me happy, I stick with it. And if something doesn't make me happy, I try to avoid it. It goes for people as well. And I think that in the beginning, in the early stages of first year or first 2 years, like I wondered if I'd ever really feel like myself again. But I think just finding things I love and doing them, like I love reading. I realize I'm like a feral reader now. And like going out every day makes me happy, and finding a purpose, like social media is part of it, but just working in general and like being productive. Like I do so freelance social media for a few women like that have their own private practices. So I help them with their social media, their emails, their website. So just finding things that make me feel productive has always made me feel good. And hanging out with my friends, I have amazing friends that have supported me through all of this, and wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Well, get on your soapbox and tell me more, talk more about the people that might look at your life and not think it's valuable.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when someone comments, I would have told my family to pull the plug. Like, that's a weird thing to say. One, because it was never an option. Like, it's not like they offered that option to me. Like, all right, do you want us to pull the plug or not? Like, blink twice. They didn't say that. And so I really felt like I had no choice but to move on anyway. But I think we can adapt to way more than we think we can. I never thought I would be able to live a life like this. I didn't think during COVID that I would be able to like survive all the seclusion and staying home all the time. Because like I said, I'm such an extrovert. I like going out and talking to people and doing things. I felt very drained from it. And I was like, well, what if I get COVID? Then I have to stay home for 2 weeks isolated. Like I can't handle that. But then I was isolated 9 months in the hospital, and look, made it out okay. Like I just think we don't really know how much we can adapt till we have to, and we're presented with the biggest challenges. So, um, with the right support and mindset, like you actually can live a life and like find a way to be happy and do things you enjoy. And I think everybody has baggage and everybody has like struggles, and mine's just so physically visible. You see it, but there could be someone in the grocery store that's like, that you don't know what they're going through. They could be deeply depressed for whatever reason. And they could struggle to get out of bed that day and just make it to the grocery store. Like, you don't know. For me, you could just see it. But I'm sure a lot of people have problems that you just can't see.
What what was that phrase that you used earlier? If it's not the end, it's not the end.
Everything works out in the end. If it's not working out, it's not the end.
feel like that summarized perfectly what your like life mantra. It'll all work out. Is that just type B? It'll all work out for me.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's just easier not to care. Like in a lot of situations, like if I got worked up over every little thing, I would have no hair and I'd, be miserable. Like I can't let myself get upset about every little thing. Like I didn't like how my nurse did this, or I don't like the way my hair is parted today. Like I'm just like, whatever. I like to let only that really the big things matter for the most part.
If someone is listening and they're early on this journey, because I actually suspect a lot of people reach out to you when they're newly injured. Um, I mean, I want to ask, like, what advice would you give them? But that feels too broad. Like, what, h- how, hmm, how can they get through day to day? What do you feel is most important in like shifting their mentality?
I would say that the first year is definitely the hardest. And you really just you like you kind of just said, you do have to just take it day to day. If you look too far into the future, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? That's going to stress you out. Like you kind of just have to handle what's in front of you at the moment and work on that. And also, like, it might not feel like you'll ever get back to like a sense of normalcy or feel like yourself again, but you will eventually, and this will become a new normal. It's going to take time. You can't rush it. I like to say the only way out is through. And that applies to a lot of situations for me, even now, but definitely in the early stages of an accident.
Yeah, I like how you said that. I'm curious what goals you had, you know, version 1 of Rebecca had that version 2 of Rebecca still has.
I really want to travel out west and see national parks like Yosemite or Yellowstone. I love being outdoors. I love the mountains. I love California or Colorado, just like those areas. And a huge goal of mine is to be able to go to Yosemite, which is in California. And every time someone goes, they tell me how accessible it is. They're like, you could totally do the trails. You could drive to the top of the mountain. It's so accessible. I want to go so badly. So that's a huge goal of mine. That was a goal of mine before my accident. I was supposed to go that summer that I spent in the hospital. So it's still on my list. I, of course, want a full-time career. Obviously wanted that prior to my injury. I love that now. I work part-time now, but sometimes I am bored and I struggle to fill some days, and I love to just have like stable hours, work consistently.
Is it a career in something specific, or you just want an opportunity to grind at something?
Maybe social media and marketing. That's kind of my interest, but who knows? Something else come along that interests me.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I have actually really loved this conversation. It has been such a privilege to sit in this space with you and talk about the reality of agency and art and the power of just showing up. And you've given us so much to think about regarding what independence really means. So thank you, Rebecca, for your time and for your voice. It is meaningful and impactful, and I'm so grateful that you're here.
Thank you. And thank you for having me, for all your, insightful questions. And I think there's a lot of like good messages that can get out to people out there because of like a platform like this. So it's important.
It is important, and I'm glad you're here, and we will have to catch you again. All right, that's it for today's episode of Powering Through. A huge thank you to Rebecca for bringing so much honesty, humor, vulnerability to this conversation. I think what stood out to me most is that Rebecca doesn't spend her life trying to convince people that paralysis is easy. She just keeps showing up, fully as herself, funny, messy, frustrated, hopeful, independent, complicated, all of the things that make someone human. And that's what I hope people feel and see when they listen to this podcast. All of it, all the things. If you connected with today's episode, make sure to follow and subscribe to Powering Through wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss future conversations. And if you think someone in your life would benefit from hearing Rebecca's story, share this episode with them. Word of mouth really helps us grow this community and continue telling these stories. You can also leave a rating or review, which helps more listeners find the show. A special thanks to Onward Medical for supporting this podcast, and thank you for listening. I'm Jessie Owen, and I'll see you next time.